Good evening and welcome to Hungary Report, Stasha Public Media M1's foreign language news hour. I'm Csenga Gabriela Ibolya with today's news from Hungary and the Carpathian Basin. Let's begin. There are several Hungarians living in Beirut. One of these people lived only a few hundred meters from the port. He managed to record the whole tragedy on his phone. No deaths or injuries have been reported so far by Hungarians so far, but several embassy buildings have been damaged in the detonation, including the Hungarian one. The government offered assistance to Lebanon for rescue and reconstruction.
What happened?
These locals were in their cars when the tragedy occurred. There were many Hungarians on the scene. This footage was filmed by Ágoston Német, who was with his fiancée a couple hundred meters away from the scene of the detonation. He filmed the events from his own balcony. I went out to my balcony and I saw that the entire building was burning violently, and then suddenly there was a huge devastating explosion, Ágoston Német said. Every window of their flat was broken. Their furniture flew everywhere. Nothing stayed in its place. Pieces of glass covered the floor. The building of the Hungarian embassy was also damaged in the Beirut explosion. However, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade have not accounted for Hungarians who were wounded in the explosion. This is what Tamás Rendszer, State Secretary, wrote on his social media page. He added the embassy is in contact with local authorities. All Hungarian citizens can count on them. Hungary is also helping Beirut. As per the proposition of Viktor Orbán, the government has offered 1 million euros to the Antiochian Syrian Maronite Catholic Church in damage mitigation. Bertalan Havasi, the press chief of the Prime Minister, stated. State Secretary Tristan Azbay said the support allocated will arrive on Thursday through the Hungary Helps program. Prime Minister Viktor Orbán expressed his condolences to the Prime Minister of Lebanon in a letter. He wrote, and I quote, "Our thoughts and hearts are with you." Viktor Orbán also sent a letter of condolence to the Lebanese Christian Party with whom Fidesz jointly participates in the Centrist Democrat International, after it turned out that the Secretary-General of the party also perished in the explosion on Tuesday.
Migrants are becoming more and more violent. Tuesday night there was another riot at the Serbian-Hungarian border. Nearly 100 illegal migrants gathered near Röszke. They tried to cross the security border at several locations at the same time. They threw stones, shouted. About 30 people even tried to climb the border fence trying to get into the country. Eventually, police and soldiers managed to prevent the group operation. And according to the latest survey, more and more counties have fewer than 3 coronavirus patients, and several counties have so far not had anyone die in the pandemic in Hungary. However, according to the latest government survey, Budapest and Pest County are affected by the pandemic the worst. This is where most active infections and deaths due to the pandemic were recorded.
People walking in a mask could be seen on the streets of Híradó, although this would not be mandatory. And in stores, almost without exception, everyone wears their own protective equipment. According to the city's deputy notary, every effort has been made since the start of the epidemic to prevent the virus from spreading and the formation of possible outbreak hotspot. As we had to reorganize a lot of care here. We had to close our institutions, clubs, for example, clubs for the pensioners, which provided community contact for the elderly. But I could also say kindergartens and preschools, Brigitta Kásra explained. This may have been related to the fact that in Szabolcs-Szatmár-Bereg County, according to the data published on Tuesday afternoon, showed that there was only one active infected person. In Békés County, this number was similarly low. There were 2 viral patients registered. Meanwhile, in Romania, which borders these counties, another quite negative record was broken on Tuesday, as they registered 1,232 new infections in one day. According to the study, there aren't as many infections in the entire country as there are in Romania in a single day. There are currently 534 coronavirus patients in Hungary. More than 1/3 are from Budapest, while 16% are from Pest County. The survey also reveals that counties where most people died from the coronavirus pandemic, Budapest happens to be ranked the worst. According to Tuesday's summary, there were also 3 counties in the country where no virus-related deaths have occurred so far. These are Hajdú-Bihar, Békés and Vas counties.
Korda Film Park in Etek is awaiting visitors once again since the state of emergency has been lifted. Those interested in the film profession can gain insight into the process of film production and get acquainted with behind the scenes of films.
People can see how professional makeup artists paint artificial wounds as well as cuts on the faces of actors. What a so-called green box filming is like when scenes are shot against a green background, and what it's like to film a scene on a real set. When you visit the Korda Film Park in Etek, you can learn about the behind-the-scenes work of filmmaking. You can also stroll through life-size cities such as medieval Rome. It doesn't look like a real building at all, so behind me the houses are all empty. Only the wooden castle can be viewed from the inside, and for example, if it needs to be destroyed for a scene, it can be managed easily. They also built the neighborhood of Brooklyn in New York. Scenes from famous movies were shot here, namely Hellboy 2 or Gemini Man, starring Will Smith. Usually, they paint over the outer layer, the displays, as well as rebuilding the glass parts. If the production is on a small budget, then only the section of the house is renewed, which is seen on camera. Ilona Meruk said. The manager of the Korda Film Park said, in addition to the family programs and movie experience tour, the 35-hectare area has been hosting national and international movie productions since 2007. Currently, various productions can be filmed in 7 studios, typically international productions. One of the most important elements is that we have a studio where there is a huge pool, which counts as a rarity, Cristina Rona explained. Visitors can see the exhibitions and guided tours following pre-registration every week from Wednesday until Sunday.
Holy Mass will be held on the 20th of August at St. Stephen's Basilica in Budapest. The ceremony, traditionally held in front of the square in front of the Basilica with the participation of thousands of pilgrims, will take place inside the Basilica this year due to precautionary measures under strict health rules, and only invited guests can attend. The Mass is broadcast live by public media's Duna channel and the Hungarian Catholic Radio. The government supports the creation of 150 so-called warehouse concerts, the government spokesperson announced in a video uploaded to a social media page. Alexander Senke added that more than 5 billion forints will be allocated for this. The government plans on consulting with the organizers of the largest festivals and music professionals about who the performers should be.
The government has already provided assistance to many sectors. Musicians are next. We're supporting the creation of at least 150 warehouse concerts, worth more than 5 billion forints, or some 14.5 million euros, where Hungarian pop musicians can perform their music with the help of professional technology and their own staff. Musicians and their crew will receive outstanding fees. Antenna Hungária will take care of the professional lighting and stage technology, as well as the recording and publication of the productions, which will be coordinated by the Hungarian Tourism Agency.
It is the eternal place of Hungarian literary life, the meeting place of tourists and art lovers visiting Budapest, the citadel of sophisticated gastronomy. This is the New York Cafe, where once famous poems and plays were born. The most famous cafe in the capital, which has been chosen as the most beautiful cafe in the world, was built on the ground floor of one of the most outstanding hotels in Budapest. If you want a little aristocratic atmosphere, it's definitely worth popping in for coffee or some afternoon tea. Szeked is one of the most atmospheric county capitals in Hungary. Most people visit for their excellent wines, but from the lookout point on Bartina Hill above the city, a wonderful panorama unfolds in front of visitors. However, the Calvary Lookout Tower is interesting not only for the beautiful view, but also for the composition of the grape statue, which is composed of the symbols of the city's coat of arms. The base of the statue can be climbed, making it a part of the lookout. And that's all for now, but don't forget you can catch Hungary Reports every night after 11 o'clock news and online as always. Do stick around and watch our German, Russian and Chinese language news. Thank you for watching and have a lovely evening.